Got it.
First line of business is just approval of the minutes. Let's go through the list of people that we have. Brendan Downey. Approval of May's minutes.
Yeah, do we want to do, we just got to go through first and verbally confirm, you as the chair.
Who's here?
Who's here? So just, you got to take roll, essentially.
Okay. Mark, I forgot to tell you, I am now starting the meeting.
He's way ahead of you, Bob.
Okay, all right. He's already through his dessert.
He might be eating steak, but he's
Okay.
on the ball.
All right. So those present, do you want me to go through the list? Or you just want to
just call out the names.
All right, Brendan Downey.
Yep.
Alan Slattery.
Here.
Nick Evans.
Here.
Andrea Bell Bergeron.
Here.
And Bob Fagoni. Let's see, not present would be at this time Melanie Wapham, although she will eventually join this meeting.
And Pamela's absent too, right?
And Pamela is out. Okay, all right. Do we have, now that we're rolling here, do we have any members of the public that have chosen to participate? Hearing none, we will continue. First order of business is approval of the May minutes. If you've had a chance, I hope you've all had a chance to read them. Are there any additions, deletions, or is it just a straight approval?
I'm going to move to approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. A vote, please. Brendan?
Okay, I'm going to go down the line.
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah, aye.
Andrea?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
And I'm voting yay.
Melanie is now in the meeting, so.
Oh,
Okay.
Marking in Melanie at 7:07. Melanie at 7:07.
Are you here, Mel?
I'm here.
Okay, good. We just approved the minutes with the quorum that we had from last month. Are you in agreement with that, or do you have any additions or deletions?
They look fine to me.
All right, we'll add Melanie's name to that list, and the minutes are approved. Second item, correspondence and communications. A number of items here. Let's see. 948 Boston Post Road. One of the requirements that we set up for me last month was for me to write an email to the prospective builder who's working on 948 Boston Post Road East. His name is Lynch. And I did not write that email, but I did, however, have a long telephone conversation with him. The email was to invite him to this meeting and also to discuss items that we might be interested in as a commission in reference to the historical nature of the building. His original query being, does Marlborough have a demolition ordinance? And having said, no, we don't have a demolition ordinance, it behooved us to get on the stick here and make contact with him.
Hey, Bob, I just want to clarify.
Yes.
We're talking about 983, 82.
982, I'm sorry, I have it written down incorrectly on the agenda.
No worries.
Yes, so when I did get in touch with him and I spoke with him, his idea was, even though he's still adamant that as a builder, the smoke damage was exorbitant. And that's why he wants to demolish the whole thing and rebuild a living area there, residents. He was the source of the information that he had. He's a builder. He said that he's done any number of these, and to him, the damage was too great. I was not going to sit here and argue with the man. So my tact was to inform him of a couple of things. One, the Historical Commission is interested only in the exterior of the building as seen from a public way. That's number one. Number two, we would be interested, and I hope I'm speaking for all of us, we would be interested primarily in the primary residence. That building had been built onto, I think, at least 2 or 3 times over the years. And if we could just secure an historical image of that central building, the building with the central fireplace, I told him that would be acceptable as well. I was not looking to see the entire footprint of that location replicated. You know, I don't think that would be necessary. However, we would be interested in any future plans. I also said to him, there is no owner yet. There's an owner living there now, Mr. Curley. There is no new owner, so nobody's doing anything right now. I told him if the new owner if there is a new owner, that he at least think of us, the Historical Commission, as a partner in any renderings or drawings of any future living area that he was gonna build. So that's how I left it with him. There is no owner. Right now, it's still a moot point. But we've made contact with him, and he's definitely aware of, he's from Concord. He's definitely aware of the historicity of buildings. He said he's done a number of them. So as this moves forward, we've at least given him the opportunity of knowing that we're interested in a certain part of that property, and we're interested in participating, if we can, as a partner in design, in any of the renderings or design. And that's how I left it with him. Based on this happening, this business about 982 Boston Post Road, based on this popping up the way that it did, as quickly as it did, and you guys have all seen me go into my berserk immediate mode. Let's jump on this. Oh my God, you know, this can't happen. Blah, 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 blah. You've seen me in action that way. Nevertheless, taking a step back, I think this is an important point that we can now go to a group like the Site Plan Review Committee, who have an application form for, at least for buildings larger than 2 families. We can go to the Site Plan Review Committee and put our stamp on their application form. They have a spot on their site plan review. They have a spot for the Historical Commission to comment. So I think we should review that spot and rewrite it based on our wording, this particular group here present, and pass that on to Priscilla Ryder and get that included in the site plan review. I've got, I believe, the site plan review and the building permit forms in Google Drive. And if I haven't sent them to Brendan yet, they will appear in Google Drive so that you can actually read what a site plan review application looks like and what a building permit looks like that makes reference to any demolition. Okay. Samantha Perlman's email in reference to veterans and signing. Samantha Perlman is in contact with Matthew Sargent, who is a commander in the Naval Reserves active. And Matt is very active in Marlborough, the military in Marlborough. And one of his ideas is to get the squares in Marlborough, Capetanopolis Square, Parmenter Square, all the squares in Marlborough, they're all labeled, but to get them uniformly signed, uniform signage, because not all the squares have the same signs. Some of them are on posts, some of them have different designs on the posts, some of them are on a plaque, on a piece of granite, just to have uniform signage. And also, he's interested in including a very short statement about who this person is. You know, Capetanopolis, there are two brothers that are part of the Capetanopolis Square. Two brothers. Well, who are they? What are their names? What are their ranks in the military? Where did they die? Stuff like that. I mean, very simple information that would also be included on squares. She wrote that to me as part of the historical commission. She's interested in us. And I wrote back and said that we're definitely supportive of this. However, I did mention that Matthew is also aware that doing anything like that involves the DPW and not the American Legion, but the organizations in town, the military organizations in town. He's aware of that. So I think morally we can support that, but I don't know that we can do anything practically about it. The I-95, 495, 290 interchange, where the Department of Transportation is going to be redoing that interchange. It comes up, it abuts Robin Hill Cemetery. That map is in your Drive, Google Drive information, and you can see that there's a corner, the southeast corner comes very close to that cemetery. And all I did was ask them when they did do the work that corner can be hidden with foliage that they plant on that side of the fence, on their side of the fence, to include that foliage. Because there is a spot there at the corner where you can, walk up to the end of the cemetery. There's nothing back there really, but if you did walk to the end of the cemetery, you'd literally be looking at a clover leaf at the end. So
yeah, there's a lot of I went over there and took a look at it. Because I was amazed that I thought that it would have been on the other side of the highway based on the description I was amazed that there's a historic cemetery wedged in between two hotels.
Yes, right. At least the city of Marlborough is taking care of it.
Yeah, no, it looks good. It's just like the state land, the MassDOT land that's behind it is all crap.
Yeah, and the clover leaf. Yeah. So I passed that information along. Brendan, you informed me about a Stowe Road stone wall problem that you became aware of. And so this is part of communications because it was new to me. Bring it up to the rest of the crew.
Yeah, so we had talk. We were talking earlier. I think late last year we were talking about historic roads, and as that one of the initiatives that we kind of decided to pass on because we got a lot of other things on our plate. And the whole core, just to remind everybody, the whole point, the whole core was, what designates a scenic road are historic stone walls and shade trees, whatever that means, right? So it's kind of ambiguous. And we decided to, shelve that. Over Memorial Day weekend, one of my neighbors, I don't think with any malintent, put up a cardboard sign that said, "Take the wall. You can help yourself to as many stones as you want." So now, of course, there's a half a dozen cars there, people loading up the stones. Now, I kind of wish Pamela was on the call because I'm sure she would know the whole story. But the next day, maybe about half the stones were removed. The next day, there was a sign that was clearly made by Marlborough DPW. So the city must have gotten involved and said, "Don't take the stones." What I was concerned with is, this is like an education thing, I feel like.
Absolutely.
And this is that, yeah, if people don't know that the wall on their street is historic, and if you look at the data and the KISS data that we have, there's a ton of historic roads. Now, where I live I live off of Stowe Road, so I'm surrounded by Sudbury Road and all of these circuits. And I feel like, I don't think we should stick to the stuff that we have on our agenda. We leave the stuff that we have on the agenda there, but maybe a next item, so something to take up towards the winter, is some sort of, my idea is an education process, and it could be as simple as we can put some pressure on the DPW to actually put the scenic road signs like Framingham has up on theirs.
Right.
Also, I would love to see, and I don't know how this could be possible, but for the folks that live on those roads, to have some sort of mailing thing, like, I get in my water bill, I got a little mailing about responsible things to do with stormwater. And, is there a way that we can put together something that says, you live on a historic street, you live on a scenic route, and isn't it wonderful? But also, by the way, don't take down don't touch the stone wall.
Right.
Okay.
Good point. That's a good point. It's stuffer. But the bigger point is it's education, and again, it's something that I think we should participate in.
Because that's gone now. So that wall is, I don't know what action the city has taken. I mean, I guess they could
they put up a sign and said, "Don't take any more," is what they did.
And I mean, they could legally, the city could force them they could compel them with like a municipal lien or whatever to put the rocks back. But
a couple of weeks before the COVID thing struck, and I was able to sit down for coffee and chit chat with you guys individually. I had a talk with Captain Nick about a project that I had seen for the future, definitely for the future, and that was stone walls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's New England, and they're around us, they're in us. And I was saying to Nick at the time, sometime in the future, maybe we could, just explore the nature of stone walls not only as a New England thing, but as a Marlborough thing, you know? But look at the bigger picture. Well, lo and behold, this comes up. And it comes up specifically in reference to scenic roads. So there is a combination. There is something going on here. You guys can listen in for 1 second. Captain Nick, what I would ask you to do, if you could, is go to the Marlborough codes, any Marlborough codes, and any Massachusetts codes. I have a few of them, and I can give you references. And I would like you just to specifically pull out, as a Massachusetts item and as a Marlborough item, the term stone wall or scenic road. Either of those two things.
Okay.
Just accumulate that information so that we can have that in one spot. And I hesitate to say that that is now an initiative of ours, but you know, try within a couple of meetings, 2 or 3 meetings, to put together a page or two that somehow discusses the Massachusetts references to stone walls and scenic roads in the Marlborough references. They probably are the same verbiage, but I don't know that.
Sure.
So maybe you could put that together. Okay, Nick?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. And Brendan, just so that you know, and so that the others hear too, the way the city of Marlborough heard about that was from social media. One of the city employees saw on social media somebody advertising get stones from stone walls in Marlborough, and that's how they found out about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty loosey-goosey, and I think
it's a big
is
project too. The house that's there is having an enormous addition put on.
Yes, in the back, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know that area is a little hot because the neighbor behind is kind of a known quantity as far as he's got this enormous house and there's been some litigation between the neighbors. So, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like this was done out of any malice. I think they just don't like the look of the wall and they didn't realize that they had to leave it there.
Yeah. Well, I think this is another example of us having to pursue a project or having to pursue an initiative that's almost forced upon us by the goings on of the community. And I don't want to force that on us right now at this time, but it's definitely going to be in the future.
No, and we should, and this is something I feel like we can work closely with Pam, with Priscilla, with
Yes.
conservation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
And
with,
of course DPW for the signage.
and with the forestry and the Chris White and forestry, he's, that's his purview. So we will work with them. Okay. Alan, you've been absent in a sense because of your COVID-19 down in Virginia. I hope you're in good health.
We are.
Are there any questions that have come up so far that you want any clarification on that you haven't been part of?
So I didn't realize that there was a fire at the Curley house.
Yeah.
On the Boston Post Road. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Mr. Curley didn't own the house any longer.
I think he still does. It's a prospective buyer that's been initiating. And this is why I'm not really, initially I went bonkers. I said, oh my God, the new buyer wants to destroy the house. But I think I jumped the gun. It's a prospective
Because I believe
buyer,
that
and it's a prospective builder.
What was he going to do with the house? Renovate?
Yeah, what he was going to do was renovate it, but with the fire, the smoke damage, his builder is doing all the talking. His builder is the one that contacted the city and the historical commission. His builder said, I've seen enough of this type of smoke damage before. We just got to level the whole thing and build a residence. That's what he wants to do. Yeah.
Well,
So,
I would think that house was that house and the one in Sudbury, the one with the pillars at the end of Wayside Inn Road, those were part of the Wayside Inn at one time. The innkeepers lived in those houses.
yes, that was part of the Ford
The
took
Ford,
over.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, we did discuss that last time.
okay.
Okay, all right, so I think we're on the same track here, with thinking along the same lines. Moving along to item number 3, historic preservation review period. I've got those words reversed too. I have to learn how, I'm going to have a class on some Saturday morning, and we're all going to sit down and we're all going to have to say this phrase over and over again, and there'll be a quiz. We'll have a quiz. And if we're all very good, I'll give you all a little gold sticker for your it's historical preservation review period, as opposed to demolition delay ordinance. And Brendan last month, I know, was getting a little ticked at me because I kept referring to demolition delay.
You gotta stay on brand, Bob. You gotta stay on brand.
Huh?
You gotta stay on brand, Bob.
Yes. Yeah, I could hear it in your voice, but I think whoever I was talking to would only know demolition delay, so I put that one off. But nevertheless, Melanie and Andrea, I don't know if you guys have anything to say, but is the package itself coming close to some sort of finality?
I've gone through this and changed the wording.
Yes.
I don't know if that's what we need. I think we should also go back and review the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. I think we also need to figure out is the approach that we were taking with that ordinance, is that still the approach that we're taking? Because we started talking about making the list of preserved properties sort of in advance and contacting the folks who live in those properties to make sure they were aware that we were interested. And that's sort of where we were with the list that Brendan started with the carpenter. Let's see if we were going to work backwards. That was my recollection, is that we were going to think about working backwards in that direction. But tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay. I think the two things definitely go together. The list, getting the list together so that even somebody as central as the building department, the building committee, the building department knows what it is we're talking about. And if they know, we got to tell the people who are in the homes, these homes are on a list. So the list is important. And I think we should put the two things together, or keep the two things together. And I think if we make a presentation to the mayor or the city council, I think the two things should be finalized. In other words, not just the historical preservation review period. Here's a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. This is our quote unquote ordinance delay, demolition delay ordinance. This is Marlborough's.
It's called the Historic Preservation Review.
Yes, it's got to be linked with a list. So
I fined people before who wouldn't stay on brand. I very famously had a jar at my desk, and anytime when we redid a product and we completely rebranded it, anytime somebody got the product name wrong, they had to put a $5 bill in the jar.
Wait a minute, $5. Hey, I'm on a fixed income here. You know, if you had a quarter jar, 25 cents, I'll be willing to drop it in. I'll be definitely willing to drop it in, and I'm sure I'll be the one that is the bigger applicant for that. So I guess what I'm saying, team, is
Alan's muted. I muted him.
Alan,
He
you're
was getting
muted.
some reverb, so.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is, can we, this has got to do with my final item the to-do list. Can we sort of put together like a time frame for trying to manipulate at least two things, maybe three, to come together so that we have something to present to the building department, and we have something to present to the mayor and the city council.
So Bob, one of the things, I just interject, one of the things that you sent over to me today that I wanted to just mention, because I didn't distribute it to the regular group because they get a lot of emails from me right now and I knew we were going to talk today.
Yeah.
You had sent over that carpenter list with the photographs and the list of the current owners.
Yes.
So now we have all that data there. I think I think if as a group we can come to agree that those are going to be the initial batch. It's not the end all be all, but that's the initial batch of properties that we're going to communicate that this ordinance applies to.
All right. Okay, good. I will just say that Melanie took your list and whatever I gave you to redo. Melanie went through it and she actually found photos or images of the homes, of some of the homes, many of them. And so that just made the format look even better than it is. So thank you, Melanie, for doing that. And you will, all of you, if you look at the Google Drive files, they're in there. You'll see it.
Has everyone seen those? Because I can redistribute anything that if I can just do it via email if there's stuff that you haven't seen.
The list that you put on the shared drive was excellent, and I made my husband drive me around the city see the houses that we were kind of talking about. I didn't get to see all of them that were on the list, but I probably saw about half, maybe more than half. So that was super useful to me to sort of know what we were dealing with.
Sure.
And so I guess my question is the way the ordinance is the draft ordinance is currently written, it makes it so that like the whole city's properties that are older, I think, Mel, I don't remember, is it 1920? I can't recall what date we picked, but there was a date subject to the ordinance, and that if it was one to be preferentially preserved, we would then have to hold a meeting to discuss that individual property. That's the way the draft is currently written. What I'm wondering is given the feedback that we had from Mr. Ossing, Councilman Ossing, and what I feel like we've been working on is to try to make it so that we have a list of properties that are preferentially preserved without that ad hoc approach that the ordinance would call upon us to do. It would just be, right? So it's sort of working from one direction versus another, and I don't know what makes the most sense with that. Because if it's a matter of saying all of these houses built before whatever that time period is that we chose in the ordinance and we communicate out to all those people, then that's fine. But I don't know that that was, I'm trying to go back and think about what Mr. Ossing had said to us about the process and being concerned about folks not having the opportunity to know that their property was something we would be interested in preserving. So I don't know, maybe I mean, we can write the ordinance any way we want. I just don't know what makes the most sense for getting the council on board.
One of the things I realized in putting the pictures and the owners' names in the list was that a lot of the properties are not owned, or some of the properties are not owned by individuals, they're owned by trustees or estates. And I mentioned to Bob that I thought that there were more homes in Marlborough that should be in our list that lend themselves to be historically significant. So I think that we had 1925 as the year. I think we should take that away and just refer to our regulated buildings and structures list, and we reference that as Macris List Exhibit A. So if we ignored the date and just went over historically significant homes in our judgment, I think it would make more sense.
Okay, so what you're saying, Melanie, and maybe this is, will plug into what Andrea is saying. We disregard the date of any construction, but we are the ones that actually take the Macris list and pull out the ones that we want to be, quote unquote, the list, as far as historic preservation review period ordinance.
That would be subject to the ordinance.
Yes.
That's what I'm wondering, that's what I'm wondering, because right now, like I said, the ordinance is basically anything from 1925
Yes.
prior. And if you fall, if you own a home that's that old, then, and you want to, tear it down or tear majority of it down, you have to, under the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, you'd have to come before us and we'd have to make a decision in that manner. Decide whether it's preferentially preserved and so on and so forth. But the other way to do it is to say this is the list, and everything on that list has a wait period of whatever it is we decided. Now, what was it, 6 months?
Yes. Yeah.
6 months.
Unless some sort of other circumstance requires it be brought down, if it's dangerous or something like that, or if...
Yes, that's definite, that part of the city has the right to demolish anything that is going to be a safety issue.
Yeah, and we have that in the ordinance too, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that was emergency.
I guess what we've just come to, and I'll agree to it, obviously, the Historical Commission will be the one that creates this list. The Marlborough Historical Commission will be the one that creates the list of properties that would be subject to an historic preservation review period once the word demolition appears.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the ones that will do that. Now,
so it means we rewrite the ordinance, which is fine. We have to.
We rewrite a section of the ordinance, yes. Right. We'd have to edit it, yes. But the bigger job, it seems to me, Andrea and team, is we gotta whittle down this list. We gotta create, the list. So
yeah, and then that raises a whole other host of questions, like what are the characteristics of a house that we would want to preserve? It really can't be arbitrary. It has to be somewhat based in I don't know. That's the question, right? How old the house is, why, is it a particular kind of architecture that we
and also
where what what is it?
And also the idea that there is history. People lived in the house. Those people are important. Horatio Alger, whether he was a good guy or a bad guy, that's a historical house. So there's the history part of it too.
And to be honest, it's something that we would have had to have done potentially under the ordinance as written. We would have just been doing it at the time that a request to tear it down comes in, right?
And I think with most communities that is the way.
Yes.
So
we're doing it a little bit in reverse. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But it just means that we need to put the thinking of those kind of deliberations at the front of the line instead of in a situation when we're faced with an actual, this house being torn down on this day. What say you, historical commission?
I think I'd like to get Larry Reeves, the architect, in a discussion about this. He's a local architect, and he's aware of the history of some of the buildings, and I think he could lend. Andrea, you certainly, with your legal, the legal eagle, you have the vocabulary, as it were. And I think if we could get somebody that has, the vocabulary of architecture,
right?
That would even add to what it is we produce. So maybe I'll pursue that one too. But okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to mention again that Alan's mic is muted, so if he needs to talk, he needs to unmute his mic. So
okay. You have to, Alan, you have to unmute your mic yourself.
I do it?
Yeah, there you did. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now you can talk.
So can I just ask Brendan, when did he send that email with this list so I can go back and look?
It would have been in the just before the last meeting, but you know what I'll do? After this call, I'll send you a fresh copy. I'll just email you the link and the doc.
Okay, thank you.
I just did a little data mine. If you take the macros list, and I think this was part of what Councilor Ossing was saying. If you take the macros list and you chop the date at 1925, it's still like 1,000 properties.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that was his reluctance, was to cover that many. So that's why I don't have an answer for this, but that's just, what I remember him saying. And then, if we're going to reference the macros list as a whole, it's got to be a we got to be more narrow as far as what we're trying to do. Just anecdotally, like one of the houses that's on the list that's on the macros list, the city's going to tear down in a matter of weeks, as on Witherby Street. So, and the two houses that they've already torn down on Witherby Street for the library project are also on that list.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's we want to make sure that we're cognizant of, because somebody could, we're trying to pass this. It could be very easy for somebody to say, well, the city's just knocking this stuff down left and right. So why we have to be held to any kind of different standard?
I
don't have an answer.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in there with something. Oh yeah, one of the things with the macros list that I noticed, a lot of the buildings that are listed don't have an original, they have a date of construction and they have a style. but they don't have an original owner or an original builder. So for all intents and purposes, it's just an old home, you know? So I think we can, I think we can eliminate many on the Macris list that aren't associated with a name, either a builder or somebody who lived in the house. If there is no name associated with it, it's just an old home. If it turns out to be stylistically unique, then we can add it. But I don't think there's. I think we can whittle that list down some more too.
But yeah, I mean, you're kind of driving at the point that I was trying to make before, which is, what are the criteria that put you on the list?
Yes, that would be one of the criteria, that it would have to list, it would have to name either a builder that we know first built it, or an owner that bought the property and built it themselves. So it would have to be named. That's
Any name, or are we talking like a builder or an owner who's of some
Historical significance.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
well, I guess what I'm saying, Andrea, is if there is no name associated with it, I guess what I'm saying is that automatically drops it down into a less historical perspective.
Yeah.
In other words, I think we should focus on anything that is on that list that is named in some way.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That would, I think that would help us at least pare it down. So what can we do? What can we do from this point forward as a group? What do we let's set up at least some to-do list that we can reasonably get done in 30 days or the next meeting, and then maybe 30 days after that. Let's see, 30 days is what, July? We're in July. I'm not a big one for hanging around in August. I think we should all take a break.
So maybe within the next month, we take another crack at the draft ordinance, see if we can point it in a slightly different direction. And then I would say perhaps in the months that follows that, once we're able to present that back to the group, Melanie, and I'm thinking, Melanie, you and I will work on this, yeah?
Yep.
We can test it against some of the properties in the Carpenter House and see if it all kind of lines up or something like that. Almost like come up with a rubric as part of the ordinance, and then test the houses against the rubric.
No, I love that idea. That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that took care of that.
Could we do this? As we all start to get familiar with the Macris list, could we all put our 2 cents into the list and say, definitely has to be part of our list, not really interested in tracking this list, in this property? Because I think Alan has a lot of know-how about what should be on the list. You
Well,
have a lot of interest.
I'm very
That's-
opinionated.
That's a great idea, and I absolutely think that's an awesome idea. Here's what I would ask: that each of us, rather than trying to run a shared doc, because I don't want to, with people's comfort levels with different type technologies, I think if everyone can just download a copy or ask me, and I'll send you a clean copy of the list, mark it up and send it to me. So just put in the column, like, Alan's, yes, the ones that you care about. So identify them. Just tell me how you're going to identify them. Either mark it, put in a new column and mark it, change one row a color, and then I'll take everybody's comments and then I'll put it back into the master. So then it'll have that one record that way. I think it's easier than trying to share doc and then this version control and everything else, if that works for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if people could get those to me before the next meeting, I'll have I'll get the main list, as soon as you can do it, actually, it would be great, because then I can get that data and I'll distribute it out to the group again, before the next meeting.
I think I'm just going to say this out loud so that, if it means anything to anybody. Again, I'm going to take my idea that macros list that I have, if it is not associated with a name of a builder or an initial owner, okay, I'm not going to go out of my way to look at that house. I will go and look at what is significant as far as I'm concerned. I will look at that first.
There's a field in the data, Bob, now that captures that, and it would be extremely easy to just go through it, because it's actually the second column has the historic name.
Yeah.
So I can again refactor the data and tag all these ones that have names to them.
Can you put the whole list back together, but like the first half of the list is named and the second half is everything that doesn't have a name?
Yeah, because what I'll do is I'll actually just tag them, so then you'll just, I'll put in case you haven't figured out how I work, put lots of columns in and lots of flags in, so I can then use pivots to filter out the data.
Can you get that out to us?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't hold you to that, Brendan.
No, that's all right, because I actually got a top,
okay,
so I'm going to start working again in 3 weeks.
You have your own things to take care of.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm still footloose and fancy free until July.
All right. Okay. All right. Do that for us, and we'll make that next month's to do focus. What else? Anything else that, yeah.
What about
anything else that I didn't say?
The cemeteries. Last month, you were going to do cemeteries, a book.
Oh, yeah. I will work on that. I have to. That's a souvenir book. Don't say this out loud. Maybe, don't even record it, please. I mean, Steve's recording this for the mayor to see, et cetera, et cetera. But I got to put that at the bottom of my, my initiatives. The fact of the matter is, it would be a souvenir book that would be used in conjunction with the library construction, and be a way of garnering some income, that the city might be able to sell a souvenir book on, famous people buried in Marlborough Library, famous people buried in Marlborough cemeteries. Okay, for all I know, there is somebody buried in the library, but that's neither here nor there.
Don't say that, Bob, because we're going to find out one way or another in the few months.
You are correct, sir. Yeah, so that's what the cemetery business was, Mel. But I'll be the one to follow up on that and be responsible for that. And if anybody gives the historical commission lip about it's not being done fast enough, you can blame it on Bob Fagoni. Okay. Is there anything else that I did not bring up or that we should be talking about right now that you can think of?
No,
Well,
we
we're
got
gonna
good
try-
action items.
Okay.
Everybody has homework except
Yeah.
Alan. No, Alan, everyone has homework.
Oh, yeah.
We all have homework.
Yeah, we all have homework. So
And
I don't have
Brendan,
any homework.
Brendan, if you could
Mark,
get
I can
me,
give you homework. I could just go over and pour a cup of coffee on Bob's laptop.
oh my God.
You
Listen,
got it.
Were we talking about the rail trail tonight? The
Oh,
station?
that
Oh,
was,
station.
That was what?
Oh yeah,
that was interesting. John Galoni, whom you may or may not know, will be retiring from the city on July 2nd. And we will sorely miss him because he's a great asset to the city of Marlborough. That plot of land, I have to get in touch with MEDC. I've got to get in touch with Meredith about what's happening with that big plot of land from Lincoln Street all the way down to the rail trail. And I know Meredith, I think, has a developer that's in the process of putting something together. So I'll find out for you. I'll make a note of that for next meeting as well. And if I can bring Meredith to the next session, if I can get her to come to our next session, I'll do that too, because
Those plans were cool.
Meredith has come to our
So-
meeting.
So is this building going to be where the old grain elevator used to be?
This building is going to be where, right at the corner, right where the rail trail meets Lincoln Street. Right at that corner.
Lincoln at Highland and Cashman
Yeah.
Street?
Yes,
So
it's
that
where
building that's standing there now used to be a grain elevator when the railroad passed through there.
The last that I knew of it, it was Bossy's.
Yeah,
Bossy's owned the floor business there.
flooring, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's a used car lot, I think.
It is, yes, but it's going to go in that section. But if you look at the design, you will see what John did was he took the time, he got it from us. He took the time to find out what the old train station actually looked like.
Mm.
And he wanted whatever was going to go in there to, reflect the history. So I think what I would like to do is talk to Meredith to see if we can, whoever the developer isn't going to build, a humongous train station there, for development. That's not what they're going to do. But if they will allow that building to go up, maybe there are some ornaments that they can use, or some architectural configurations that they can use that are based off of it. So, I think that's a step in
Nothing
the
was
right
ever
direction.
salvaged from the original train station,
John has stuff, but I don't think he has a lot of stuff.
because there were stained glass windows and alike there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Alan, you know as well as I do, a lot of this stuff just disappeared overnight.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're here. We got to move forward. So,
What's the use of that building? What's it going to be?
Somewhere, maybe it was in my memo or something, I said retail. It wasn't retail, it's rail trail. When it comes to me editing my own writing, forget it. So if you ever read something that I send out that looks kind of stupid, it's because I'm the world's worst speller. I might be an English major, but I need spell check. Yeah.
So is this just going to be like an informational building?
It
There's
looks
an
like
yeah,
restrooms and
it's
information.
not huge. It's a small building. It's going to be information about the rail trail, and there'll be bathrooms in there. And John did have the idea of having some display of Marlborough memorabilia in there. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be wonderful, especially if it's associated with a complex,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a multi-level complex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a shame we can't get the people that are building that development out where the old horse farm was to build that development in the center of town. But that's just me.
To build what development in the center of town?
So there's a big development that's lurking around that it's, you know, the old horse farm across from
Yeah.
Tapatia?
188 units, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't build something that big in that chunk of property where they're gonna put that rail trail building. Another project, another developer.
Yeah, I want to get Meredith to come in and talk to us so that we can see what is planned for the
Yeah.
future. And maybe, you know, give us some input into that thinking.
Yeah,
You
because
say
that's,
it's on Lincoln Street, at the end of Lincoln Street?
Excuse me?
Is it on Lincoln Street in the beginning of the rail trail? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
Yes. Mark, there is a plan there. There's
Yep,
a plan
that's
for
it.
this area.
Yep.
And John Galone already has a mock-up of what he would like to see go in there. I think it's going to happen.
So they're gonna rip the old grain elevator down, the rest of it.
Yes. They're going to rip all of that down. That's all gone. Even
So
the Corbin building.
Johnson and Claflin. Yeah.
Johnson and Claflin's going the whole thing. Yeah, it's a biggie. All right. Anything else that I have, skipped or, do I hear a motion to?
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
Yeah, it's the third Thursday, whatever that is.
That would be 2 meetings from the first Thursday.
16th, Alan, it's July 16th.
Yep, I see it.
It's the 16th, and yeah, we could do that, or we could do the 23rd, but
6.5. Doesn't matter.
2.5.
I'll
We'll
be
leave
around.
it at
Could we do the 23rd only because I have to go to Virginia on the 6th and I'll be home on the 12th.
You twisted my arm, Alan. Is
That's-
there anybody? Andrew, you going to have a conflict with that?
No, it's fine. But don't forget, Alan, if we're remote, you could probably dial in from Virginia if you want to.
iPad
only
will work in
because
Virginia.
this iPad is funeral home for Zooming funeral.
I see.
And
Okay.
I'm not terribly techy, so I had to have my son on my cell phone to show me how to even get to you folks. So
Okay.
23rd is
it's
fine.
tough. It's tough
Don't worry.
being smart and good looking at the same time.
Captain
You
Nick, can
guys
you
have that
handle that?
problem, right?
I love it.
Can you handle the 23rd?
The 23rd actually works better for me too.
Good.
Okay,
All right. It's
All right.
it's a done
that is
deal.
done.
I'll tell Pamela and who else?
Just
Who else?
Pamela. I think she's the only one missing tonight.
He's the only one. Okay. All right. I'll tell Pamela. Okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded. Okay. Hearing
Nick,
no
how are ya?
hearing no objections. Adios.
Well, we got to vote.
Call the roll.
We got to do the roll.
Oh,
Bob.
yeah, of course.
Oh, he hung up on it.
Who?
Are you there? So we got
I'm
to do
here.
the roll. So Bob, yay, nay.
Yeah, yay.
Pam, not here. Andrea,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Alan.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. We're legal. We're
Okay.
adjourned as of